Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Let me see where is Kathy. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, just a little late, running around like crazy. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Auntie Maggie. Good morning, Sue.
Hello.
Good morning.
How are you?
Taking a deep breath. Coming in hot.
Yeah, you were doing quite a bit already this morning.
Yes. Before I forget, someone messaged me this week asking me where you got your glasses from. And I think I knew, and I told her the place, but I'm not 100% sure.
Same place you got yours.
Right.
iBar.
Okay. iBar. Sherwood Park.
iBar, Sherwood Park. There they are. I need to go back. I need to get my eyes tested again. This age and stage, things change.
Well,
Look at my earrings today. Karis the artisan. Like, aren't
I know.
they amazing?
I feel slightly. I'll just use my hair curtains.
Your hair is gorgeous. Okay,
I just watched it 6 days ago.
Mine is residual from yesterday. And actually the lady who did my makeup, which we'll touch on, she said, do you ever wear your hair behind your ears? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I was like, maybe
Are we allowed to do that?
A little fringe. I'm like, yeah, maybe I will. So how about I do our intro music and you do our intro. Just hold, please.
Nice.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome. I'm Raina, and that's Kathy, and we are a mother-daughter duo sharing a candid inside look at our conversations wherever they lead us. Lots of times we don't know. You're getting a notification, and here we go. We're off. So there's a lot of things that we want to talk about today, I think. Wait, what? There could be. We don't know yet.
Who knows? Oh my gosh. Can we first just talk about this week we had to go to pick up a package, and we're going to talk about that later, but yeah, special packages. And I have no sense of direction, and neither does Raina. And we went strictly on the GPS. And you know what was really interesting to me is the absolute panic of driving, having no idea where we were going. But we got there, and I remember saying to you, like,
we did it.
We shouldn't be the ones. Where's Sarah? Sarah needs to be here.
We need an adult with us at all times.
Like, Sarah's a geographical artist, much like her father and much like your husband. Like we talked about before GPS, and even sometimes with GPS, we have to call our husbands.
Do you remember MapQuest?
No.
I used to print off. Listen to this. How messed up is this? That I used to have a job dependent on like in-person sales where I would have to go make sales calls all over the city. And I would literally have to bring like an extra shirt because I would sweat through my shirt from the stress, and I would print off, which was, I'm sure, not safe, because I would print off these sheets of directions, and I'd have to make them a bit bigger because I can't see.
Yeah.
And I would have them in the passenger seat, and I'd be like, and then I would get there, and it would be fine. But then, you have to find your way back. I can't. It's a whole.
It's not hitting home. And it takes you. Yeah. No, I was a dispatcher.
Me too.
But I was a really good dispatcher. That's when we had the Easy Finder. John bought it for me because he's like, because I didn't know where anything was. I'm like, are you the driver that does this? And it's like, where's that? Is it in the north? I don't know. Is that left or right? I'm facing this way. It was awful.
I know, but people can't say north or south or west or east to me. I won't know what you're talking about. I was also a dispatcher. And for really busy, like these guys were like locksmiths that had to go to banks if they were like locked out of their safes and stuff. and I used to have to schedule their jobs, and
You
sometimes
were
I would
good at
get
that. I
calls.
remember. You were really good at
Well,
that.
sometimes they would call me not so happy and be like, "What are you thinking here? Take me through your thought process. Why are you setting me here? I can't make it to this place in time." And I'd be like, "I just really believe in you. I also have no idea where that is."
Come on, let's go. So yeah, we'll tell you more about that story because that's going to be interesting. But today we thought we would share about my experience yesterday, which was
Yes.
a photo shoot with. I'm just going to bring it up here because I butcher her name every time I say it. It's so beautiful. It's Emily Egoti, I think is how you say it. And I booked myself a photo shoot. And if you know me, you will understand I absolutely despise getting my picture taken. And you know that because you're a photographer and you've taken my picture. You've actually had to bring me back after the whole photo shoot to do individual shots and talk me through it.
Yes. And I think, like, honestly, I don't think that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I can totally relate to that because it's really difficult and it's really vulnerable to have, to put yourself in that situation and to take the picture. And I think, too, in this day and age with where we're always taking selfies and we have
Yes.
control and we can see ourselves, like, I can take a selfie. I can, like, if I have no one around me watching me and I can, like, look at the camera and I know my angles and stuff and it's
Mm-hmm.
great. But the second I can't see myself, I turn into Chandler Bing. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I know. It's
super
like,
awkward
okay.
smile, don't know what to do with my hands. And
Oh my gosh, right? And Emily is amazing. And this has been a journey. It really actually started with her making a post about doing a Crone. It's like your Crone photo shoot, and it's like Crone is a woman that is in like a mythical creature, usually like crotchety, like kind of despicable. But that's actually not the crone she's talking about. She's talking about a goddess, a wise woman. Gray-haired women is actually what she was talking about, and she wanted to see more gray-haired women on social media, just featured. And this is actually what her website says on like the first page. It's absolutely beautiful, and it says, "It's time to be seen. No more hiding. The world needs to know you, to see you, to be affected by you. You have a story, and I'm here to help you tell it." And like I get goosebumps when I think about that because she actually is. She's an amazing person. This very powerful, strong woman who has come from France. She's the most beautiful accent,
oh,
and she's so kind. And like all photographers, like I initially before I went, and you had asked me, you're like, "Are you excited still?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm trying to be," because I was really
yeah,
excited when I booked it. Because I'm like,
yeah.
yes, I am going to celebrate. And I guess I should clearly say what I'm celebrating. I'm turning 60 on July 4th. It's my 60th birthday. I am, and I'm like, I've never been one to celebrate milestone birthdays. I like to just fade into the distance. I don't want
You
people to know.
definitely like to celebrate other people.
Mm,
But when it comes to yours, you're
no,
like, no thanks, and it makes you uncomfortable.
yeah, totally,
So
totally.
why don't you, like, I think it's important and I think it's interesting and I want you to tell this part of it. So yeah, we talked about this yesterday, is the process that we go through when we might book something like this for ourselves. So the process of, you found this, it resonated so much with you. You were like, this is incredible. I need to do this for myself. Yes. You
Yeah.
book the photo shoot. And then, like, what's the process? So okay, question number one, how many weeks out did you book it? And then what was the process leading up to getting yourself in the door and then getting in front of the camera? Because I think this is really relatable, and I think that this is something that so many people would think, like, oh my God, why do I do this to myself? But I think most women do this.
100% what you said. So I don't actually know how far out. I think it was like either the in February or beginning of March. It could have even, like, it was in February, I think. And I
A
actually had to
comfortable
read.
distance away.
Yeah, totally. But I was like, yeah. And I don't know why, but I kept feeling 60 is so important. And I really wanted to celebrate it. And we're in such a struggling time. Like I can't even talk. I'm struggling to
I
say
know.
what it is. We're in such a challenging time. And I'm not going to have a birthday where people are going to, which is great, where people are going to be around me. It's not going to be a big celebration with other people. Um, so, but, and I don't actually enjoy that anyway.
Right.
So, but I really felt called to celebrate turning 60. And in that, because so many people don't make it to 60. It's like, I'm like turning 60, like when you're in your 20s, you think that person is ancient. I don't feel ancient. I
No.
feel I love where I am right now. But anyway, so I was like, yes. And I was reading this book by Jan Arden, and it's this book right here, and it's called If I Knew Then. And being a woman that's almost 60, it's and maybe there's more books out there, but I find it very hard to find books that I can relate to, like really relate to. I can relate to the Abby Wambachs, the Glennon Doyle, all of those kind of books. But those women are much younger than me, and I mean, I get tons of aha moments. But I'm like, I wanna read a book from a woman who's like in my age group. And so Jan wrote this book, and I want to read what this part of a chapter, and it's called "Waiting for the Crone." So forgive me if I stumble over my words. I will try to read carefully here. The meaning of the word crone varies depending on the person using it. Wikipedia says she is almost always a character in folklore and fairy tales. She is usually very disagreeable, somewhat sinister, malicious, with a sprinkling of magical or supernatural powers. That all sounds completely delicious to me. She sounds like somebody I'd like to invite over for a few pots of Earl Grey tea and a platter of carbohydrates. I didn't know who I was going to become in my 40s or 50s. I really didn't. My 20-year-old self just threw her head back and laughed at the thought of being old. But I'm starting to get a clear picture of who I'm going to be as I march into my 60s and 70s, goddess willing. Although the word itself is associated with being aged and ugly and mean-spirited, to me, a crone is a kick-ass, take no prisoners, damn the torpedoes, own your own crap, great kind of person to be. Entering into the time of the crone, for me and thousands of other women, and perhaps a few fortunate men, has been nothing short of extraordinary. The crone is remarkably wise and unapologetic. She is fierce and forward-thinking, someone who is at the pinnacle of her own belonging. Okay, I'm not entering the time of the crone. I am a crone. I'm at the beginning of a new chapter in my life, a whole new book, really. And it's one that's going to read and unfold exactly the way I want it to. And I'm like, yeah, that resonated when she said what a crone was. It really resonated with me because I actually do feel like I'm coming into who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
I've been
And I think
fighting.
like,
I've been fighting her for a long time,
yeah,
but I didn't answer your question.
no, you didn't. But I think it's fine. It's
I
fine.
will.
We'll
I
get to
will.
it. But what I was going to say is I think that it's important that you like read that part because I think a lot of times when people hear the word crone, it's like a negative thing, or it would be probably like an insult, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like a lot of
Yeah.
people would think that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like just within, like, it reminds me of, like the word fat, or like words that are very polarizing in communities, and how a lot of times, and especially like lately in this day and age, people are taking those words back and taking like the negative power from those words and just owning them, because being fat isn't a negative thing, even though it's still a lot of people believe that.
Yeah.
but fat people are taking that word back and using it as a positive word to describe themselves as like that's who they are. And I think
Totally.
it's kind of a similar thing with the word crone is, you know, aging for women is something that has been looked at as like you dread it, you like that's
Yeah.
the thing, like you just look around at the media and everything is about youth and staying young and looking young and making sure
Yeah.
that you don't show that you're aging.
Yeah.
And so I think it can be so powerful to take that word and, you know, take the power back from that word and make it into something really positive.
Exactly. I honestly I agree with that. And so I boldly made this appointment, and I've been following Emmy Lee for a long time, and her pictures are breathtaking.
Beautiful.
Uh, and so I really didn't think about, I mean, I thought about it, but I'm like, oh man, I am. I'm Chandler Bing in front of the camera. I feel awkward. I don't know what to do. I did a photo shoot with for Shop the Skinny for the because of her, and I remember going to that, going, why did I say yes to this? My cheeks were so red. I was so nervous. I looked like I drank a half a bottle and maybe not, maybe more.
Yeah.
I was lit when I got it, and I just felt so uncomfortable before it started, and I was trying to be super cool about it. But they made me feel really comfortable, and I am glowing in every picture. My cheeks are so red. They didn't know how to tone them down, I don't think. But so I think it was after that, which
Yeah.
surprises me because I really didn't enjoy getting my picture taken. I just felt really awkward the whole time. I didn't like what I was wearing. Because I decided to wear tights, I should have wore jeans, blah, 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 all that stuff. But the pictures are great. They did like they're me. Like I
Yeah.
can't change that. So I really didn't think about it up until probably a week ago, and I had been kind of curating, if that's the right word, my what I
Mm-hmm.
was going to wear. Um, and then it's like I didn't really pick out the outfits. I had visions in my head, and I'm not, I could have gone on Pinterest and looked, but I was like, no, I want to be me.
Yeah.
And actually, um, the person who goes out, which we don't get to go, yes. Oh, you're going to be 59 in August. Congratulations. Yeah, her book is great. Anyway, I normally just wear Lulus and a t-shirt. I'm wearing a jean shirt right now, but because I don't go out. But the person who goes out would be a little bit more dressed up, not crazily dressed up. Jeans. Maybe I'll throw on a kimono, hat, that kind of thing. Anyway, so I was trying to figure out like who am I in a pandemic. I actually said to Emily, if you were going to take legit pictures of me right now,
Yeah.
I should be wearing what I'm wearing right now. And part of me was going to bring that because I think it would have been fine, but I didn't. So I picked out my outfits. I sent you pictures, and it was really
Mm-hmm.
funny because you and Sarah went.
I know.
You said 1, 2, and 4, and Sarah said 1, 3, and 5, or it was the other way. And I was like,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't. And you said, Mom, just pick out what you want to wear, which is exactly what I was going to do anyway. And I ended up
Yeah.
changing what I was going to wear anyway.
Yeah.
Hi, Leah. I changed what I was going to wear. So when you asked me if I was excited, at that point, I'm like, no, I'm not excited.
Right.
I don't know why I did this. And this is going to be a negative. I said, I'm too fat.
Hi.
And I'm too wrinkled and I'm too old, and who is I kidding? Like I can't do this. I look stupid in front of the camera, and I didn't say this to anyone. This is all just going through my
In your
head.
head.
Like
Yeah.
why is my tummy so big? She's gonna see my tummy. It's gonna be in the pictures. If I bend my knee, my thigh's gonna look too big. All these things, and then it was like this smack in the side of my head where I went, wait a minute. You chose this to celebrate who you are right now, with your belly, with your thighs, with your wrinkles, with your gray hair. You're like, and I don't mind my hair. I don't actually mind my face. I don't mind my thighs. Like if I was like just walking around every day, I don't actually think about it unless I'm looking at it, and then I'll decide to pick it apart. And it's like, why do we do that? So I got up in the morning, put everything together, had changed what I was going to wear, put everything together, put them in a garment bag, and proceeded to the location. And you wanted to know, okay, so when I walked in, there is Emmy Lee, and she is just this beautiful human being, smiling behind her mask. She let me in, and we stood very far apart, and we're chatting, and I just really, I like that few minutes because you get to know the person who's going to take your picture. And I just felt like, just be yourself. That's all that I kept saying to myself. And then Ruth, oh my gosh, Ruth is the woman who did my hair and makeup. And
okay, I'm going to stop you for a sec because I don't want to lose my question. And this is also important, but I think, you know, I think it was so important for us to talk about the process leading up to the whole photo shoot, because it is, you know, one of those things I think that women don't do often for themselves, just as in terms of celebrating themselves, celebrating who they are, and giving themselves that permission to be like, no, like I want to document this time in my life. I want to celebrate myself. I want to just be who I am without any apology, and just like own that and celebrate it for what it is, and allow myself to be present in those moments, right? But the leading up to it is kind of that roller coaster because of everything that we've been taught, everything we've been through in our lives as women about what is acceptable in beauty, in, you know, taking these types of photographs, like what we should be celebrating about who we are and what we look like and how we present ourselves. And so I think it's probably really, really normal for women to, you know, do the thing, book the shoot, and be like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I'm finally going to do this. I'm going to celebrate myself. I'm really excited. And then it's kind of like you get to the top of the roller coaster and you're like, oh God, what have I done? Why am I on this ride? I want to get off. And then you start going down and you kind of spiral out, and you're like doubting yourself, all these things, bringing up all of your insecurities. Because again, like we talked about, it's such a vulnerable thing to put yourself in front of the camera.
And the camera doesn't lie.
Right. And then, it puts right in your face those things that a lot of times you can not think about. So you're walking into the building, and the connection with the photographer, I think, is really important, and how, like you said, those few minutes were really important to you because it is such a vulnerable space to be in, and you really are putting yourself, like Brene Brown says, like in that arena. And it's scary, and it can really, like, you know, that pit you get in your stomach, and just like, you know, that visceral feeling of just vulnerability. And I think we all know what that feels like. So having that feeling and then connecting with your photographer in a way to really make yourself feel safe. You have to feel safe in order to allow your true self to shine through, and give yourself permission to just be who you are without trying to put on an act or thinking you have to look or do or pose or be a certain way. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. And then makeup next.
Yes.
So your thought process going into the makeup, like what were you thinking? How are you feeling about getting someone else to do your makeup for a photo shoot? Was it something that was really exciting for you? Were you a little worried about it?
I was a little bit worried about it. And I'm going to backtrack a little bit. It's funny, like going up to the shoot, your dad drove me because he's like, because he knew I was nervous, and I didn't talk the whole time. And for me not to talk the whole time, you know that something's like up. And I was just like thinking, and just like, but I wasn't, at that point, I was like, no, I'm going in there regardless of if I pick the right outfits, regardless of it's like the experience, I kept thinking the experience is more important than the photos. That's what was
Yeah.
going through my head.
That's
So,
so beautiful. I love
yeah.
that.
So anyway, Emmy Lee actually told me a story, which she has in on her Instagram, and I saw it. She had a photo shoot booked for herself, and she almost canceled it the night before because she felt like all the things that we feel. And I was just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she's so beautiful. How could she feel that? And I'm like, all of us have this vulnerable
Oh,
state.
yeah.
So, and we're not, like, I'm not a supermodel, but you know what? I will tell you, in the middle of that photo shoot, I felt like a supermodel. I
But
felt
like,
it was
wait a
so much
second.
fun.
Wait a second. Wait, what? Hang on
Yes.
a second. So saying that again, I think it's really important to like catch ourselves and like stop for a second, because you say like I'm not a supermodel, but that term is in my mind anyway problematic. But why? Why aren't you a supermodel? What are the
Yeah. Like, what's the criteria?
prerequisites?
No,
You
exactly.
know?
And it's all in your head. It's all in your head. And I just felt really comfortable. So I was quite nervous to get my makeup done. I didn't know this woman, and her name is Ruth Bancroft, and she is.
What a good name.
It is, and I love Ruth. Ruth is such a strong
That's
name,
a good
and
name. Her
yeah,
last name too. Sorry, I really
I
like
know.
that.
We will tag them, and because I really think you should follow both of them. Anyway, Ruth is this tall, very beautiful woman who came in, and she's wearing a mask. So you really, she's just a beautiful human being, and just is setting everything up and chatting away. And we were like talking about life and just having fun as she's doing my makeup. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what is going to happen? Like, am I going to be caked in makeup? Like, am I going to look like a complete, who knows? And she took her time. She is an artist. And Emmy Lee told me later, she does high fashion, and she's like, she's very talented. But I was like, I just want to enhance like what I have. And so as she's going to put the eyelashes on, I'm like, wait, what? You're putting eyelashes on? Take a deep breath. And I'm like, no, just
Flashbacks. Yeah.
trust the process.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, how am I going to feel comfortable? Well, anyway, then after a while, I didn't even feel like I had them on. Then she did my hair, which I'm like, I don't want to look like a bouffant, whatever. And I didn't see
Yeah.
any of myself. I did not see myself until
Until
she was
after.
completely finished because there was no mirrors in front of me. And, in my head, I'm like, okay, if I end up having 80s hair and 80s makeup, I am going to kill it because that was my
You're just
era.
gonna own it.
I'm
Because
like,
you've
whatever.
been in that era. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Erin. So anyway, I see myself. And you know what I said when I looked in the mirror?
What?
Holy shit is what I
Yeah.
said. Holy
God, that's
shit.
good. I'm so glad. Like, I'm so glad.
And,
Because
and
you like,
in a good way, I was like,
yeah.
this. And she kept saying, and I'm like, this is what they say to everybody. You're beautiful. You're this and that and blah, blah, whatever. But it was just, I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling, like I said, the experience, regardless of the pictures, was the most amazing
Important part. Yeah.
journey. So I am so grateful. Ruth was and is amazing, kind, and so talented. And we said at the end, we have to have a dance party. There's got to be something where we can all get together when this is over and just a bunch of women come and dance and celebrate. And I'm like, yes. And the whole time, I hadn't even had a picture taken. Emmy Lee is across the room from us and talking, and I'm getting my makeup done. And I said, I want to do this with my daughters. I want my
Oh,
daughters to experience this. I want the crone to be with the maidens, to be with the babies, and us, like the generations. Like it's that empowering.
yeah.
That's that's all I got to say about it. It was
That's
one of the most beautiful experiences of my life.
so
It
amazing.
worked out.
And yeah, and just like um giving yourself, because that's the thing is I think a lot of times in our minds, and I'm gonna go deep here. It's gonna happen. We're going deep. But this is what comes up for me. Is dive in, friends. Try to come with me. It's okay if you don't, but just try. So what I think of is you go into these situations and we have all of these experiences from our past that kind of create this like framework of invisible rules that nobody enforces upon us. They're not like you're going to get a ticket or you're going to go to jail or you're going to get like some extreme consequences if you don't abide by these rules. But these rules become like these bars around us or around how we think we're able to move in the world because of our experiences, because of the information we take in from whatever source, just our environment and the people around us and the things that we learn about the world. We develop these rules for ourselves, these rules that tell us, well, I can't do that because I'm this, or only people who are this can do that, and I don't belong in that group. So I'm never going to allow myself to experience that. I'm never going to do that. I don't fit this criteria, so that's not for me. I can't do that because of this. And so we have these, these little rule books or these bars or however you want to envision it, very visual person, however you want to envision that in your mind. And it's really hard and kind of heartbreaking, I think, because we miss out on these experiences that could be so empowering and so life-changing and so affirming and so freeing. But it can be so difficult to step out of your side of yourself and have the type of awareness to be like, wait a minute, why do I believe that? And do I even really truly believe that? Is that a way I'm oppressing myself because of what I think I'm supposed to do or be, or, like all of these things. I think about that a lot. I think about how we don't give ourselves permission and we enforce this criteria or these rules upon ourselves that are invisible and aren't actually real, but they feel really real for us.
Yeah, it is that comparison thing. Like, it totally is a comparison thing. Like, you're measuring yourself against someone else, and you can't. None of us are the same. No experience in life. Like, even if we go through the exact same experience, it's not the same. The way I'm going to react to it versus the way you're going to react to it. And we're in the same family and we're pretty much the same person in a lot of ways, but we're going to react to it differently. And like, as you were talking, I was thinking, this is what went through my mind too. I wish, I am privileged enough that I could afford to do something like this for myself. But I want women of all ages and stages to actually be able to feel this. And you don't have to feel this by doing a photo shoot.
No.
But to feel empowered, to feel relevant in your own body, in your own skin, in your own time, just to own it and not wait till you're 60 to go, and it's like, I have a couple of quotes that I went on Pinterest and I was like, okay, let's see. So Glenn Close says this: all your life you think 60 is ancient. And all of a sudden you find you're 60 and you don't really feel any different. I feel stronger and more engaged. This is the best time of my life. And I was like, yeah, it is the best time of my life. But being 20 can be the best time of your life if you can look at yourself and appreciate who you are in that moment instead of comparing yourself to everybody else. And like, of course, now I'm not going to find the one that I really loved by Helen Mirren.
Yes.
Oh, what? Maybe it'll just a minute. Sorry about this.
No, that's okay. I think I remember it. Is that she says as she grows older, the phrase that she wishes she would have used more.
Yes.
Is fuck off.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. At 70 years old, if I could give my younger self one piece of advice, it would be to use the words, fuck off more frequently. And you know what? I think you can even use that when you're talking to yourself. because more often than
Yeah.
not, you need to say, you
With
know
love,
what, stop,
with loving
stop.
kindness.
Because we can be so, so mean to ourselves. And honestly, I got to do something that I don't think that everyone can do. Emmy Lee is a very popular, very talented photographer, and I I got to do this for myself. It's my, part of my celebration for turning 60. And I'm like, oh, I just, I can't express the feeling that I had. And again, like when I love anything, I want everybody to know about it. I want you to
Right.
know about how talented
Yeah.
this
And you
woman
want
is.
others to experience that same feeling because
Totally.
it's a really important feeling to have. But like you said, not everybody can do things
Yeah.
like that. But I think it can be simplified down enough to, like what I was thinking when you were talking is even just, giving yourself permission or allowing yourself to wear something that you think you shouldn't wear because of whatever reason you've created in your head,
When you,
or
yeah, you
just
line
in
yourself
terms
up with
of,
someone else.
right, and just in terms of like general self-expression. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've held myself back from really embracing or allowing myself to have joy in my own self-expression because of feeling like that it was too much, or that it wasn't like someone with my body type, or whatever hangups is I shouldn't be doing this, or people are going to judge me, or this is going to be too much, or whatever the thing is.
Of course, they are going
um
to judge you.
right. And so just I think it's called like foreboding joy, like
Yeah.
not allowing yourself to have that freedom of expression, to be who you are, in your fullest capacity, because of, again, things like comparison, or just like those invisible, not a word, but
Miserable.
okay, invisible rules we impose
Yeah.
on ourselves because of the experiences that we've had. And that reminds me actually of, and you did this with me, is long ago, well, not too long ago, but long ago, I used to run these self love groups, that were focused on just really, after doing, health and fitness coaching for a long time, and really focusing on trying to make myself fit, make myself look a certain way, and just kind of like beating myself into the ground for so many years with that. I kind of, did a little bit of a flip and said, like, God, like, screw this, man. Like, this doesn't feel good for me anymore. I really want to love myself. And I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so we ended up doing, like, organizing these boudoir shoots, which was so scary for me, like, even thinking about doing something like
Yeah.
that. But I really wanted to empower myself and empower women around me. And we did like this huge photo shoot as a group, with an amazing photographer, my friend Julie Rohr, who is just a beautiful human. And again, like it's similar experience with makeup artists and all of those things. But I remember at that time a very different experience, because I was still very much in this
Yeah.
place where I wasn't being myself, and I was too scared to be myself. And so I remember for me, that experience was almost like an out of body experience, where I was watching myself. I had like this platinum blonde, like white blonde, pixie cut. I had bought all this lingerie and different things to wear that just weren't me.
Yeah.
I was trying so hard to look a certain way, and I was so uncomfortable in my body,
Yeah.
and just so afraid, and just it was a really rough experience for me, and it really shook me. And I remember since then, like, I was like, I'm never doing something like that again. And I had like a very different experience than the majority of people
Yeah.
who went through that experience, it was a very, very positive thing. But I think, again, it, like with our whole podcast idea and the fact that like different ages and stages, and where you're at in terms of your perspective and where you're at in your life, in your journey of acceptance of yourself, and like you said, like I think as you get older, you start to be like, no, like this is who I am, and I want to celebrate that
Yeah.
part. I want to just allow that part to come through. Because the thing is, like, I have those photos sitting on a computer, and I never did anything with those photos.
No.
They're literally just sitting there, because when I look at those photos, I don't see myself.
No. And you know what?
Like, I don't know
That
who
right
that
there is
person
the key.
is.
Because you were trying to be something. And when you were talking, I was like, okay, you know what would be so cool for a boudoir? And like, okay, so boudoir, does that just mean like you're gonna wear sexy lingerie? Is that like what the
Yeah, and
term is?
I mean,
Because
for us, the nice thing about, like, I think that's really expanded, and even in the shoots that we did, there was like I wore I think I wore like an Avengers superhero like big
yeah,
T-shirt
I was
with
gonna say
big
I'd
black
wear
glasses and a coffee mug, and people were wearing, like, someone wore like a stormtrooper helmet, and like there were
yeah,
just like very different people have different ideas of what makes them feel,
like
either
themselves.
like sexy or empowered or beautiful,
Mhm.
and there's no wrong way. You don't have to wear
And I would
underwear.
love, like I'm just talking about this, and I would love to do something like that and have like for me, I wear Russell shorts
Yeah.
and a tank top. That's what I wear to bed, or a pair of really old cut off leggings and a t-shirt.
God.
Uh,
I don't I always wear, like, everything's always mismatched.
yeah.
I wear a lot of clothing to bed. I
Hmm.
like to be super warm.
No, I wear a little
So
less.
it would be, yeah, I don't
But
know.
I feel like, again, and boudoir means different things, obviously, to different people. But I'm like, how do you really go to bed? I would love to actually, and I mean,
Yeah.
there are people, maybe you're just going to wear, like, you're going to pull up the blanket, because there's people who don't wear anything to bed.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, you know
It's
what?
supposed to be really healthy for you
Eh,
to sleep naked. Sorry,
and you know what?
sidebar.
It's not my comfort zone. I would like
No,
absolutely
me
hate
neither.
it.
Especially when
But
you have kids, young
yeah,
kids.
and I
Bad
mean, it's
idea.
just me and your dad, so it's like I could sleep however I want. But I still wear like my Russell shorts and a tank top. That's what I wear to bed, and I'm
Love
quite
Russell.
happy wearing that. But I would love to see like those kind of photo shoots with just like being you. And I got to go and I got to be a glamorous version of myself. I do not feel like they're not me,
Yeah.
because I wore really my day-to-day clothes. I wore everything that I would normally wear. And you know what was really interesting about this photo shoot? It was my photo shoot, but I really wanted to incorporate a lot of your dad in it, because he's such a prominent person in my life. He's like my life partner. He's my literally is my best friend. He
He's your lobster.
tolerates. He is my lobster. He tolerates so much of like who I am.
Well,
Uh,
not tolerates, he accepts.
I can say a lot of times he does tolerate it. Because
True.
we're so polar opposite, but he is just like, he is a cheerleader for me. He is just such a great support. So it was funny because when I was picking out the outfits, I really wanted to have something
Yeah.
that he loved. So it made it very challenging for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, but it was so important to me. Or somebody else is not going to do that, but I wore jewelry that he got me. Everything had a moment in my head, a memory, which is really funny because he likes to give memories. I like gifts, and memories are great, but the older I get, the memories are the most important. And I thought, like, when I'm looking at these as an older woman, I'm going to look and I'm going to see that ring that he gave me and I'm going to remember. Or I'm going to look at those boots that he got me that are ridiculous, um, and go, he loves those boots so much. And they're actually really cool boots. I just have
They
never
are.
found the right outfit to wear with them. I
I
overthink
think
it. I
they're
need
one of
you.
those kinds of boots that you just gotta wear them with whatever.
Yeah. And so that was something I wanted to mention. I brought him
Yeah.
with me. I brought him with
Yeah.
me in my pictures.
Yeah. Well, and I think
So,
too, like something that just kind of popped into my head about like these photo shoots, and I think like I I don't know what it relates to, but I'm just gonna say it anyways, is I think like I think it is just a beautiful thing that you can do to take photos of yourself throughout your life
mhm,
to have, like, even especially just for the people who love you, so
yeah.
that it's like not, I don't think you would, I don't know if legacy is the right word, but like a visual legacy, like, because when you love someone, um, and the time comes where they're no longer here,
Mhm.
and if you're the type of person where it's just like, oh god, like I hate photographs, I never want to be in photographs, um you know there's so many women, I think, especially who have kids, and even those
Hi,
who don't,
Kelly.
where they don't allow themselves to be in photographs because they don't like the way that they look, and maybe their kids kind of look back over the photos of their childhood or over their lives, or like really want to have those photographs of their
Mm.
loved ones, and they're just not there.
And funny you
It
mentioned
just made
that.
me think about that.
No, funny you mentioned that. When I was there, I said, this is, I don't want to sound morbid, but I said, I want to have a good picture at my celebration of life. And,
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Leah.
and,
I
and
love looking at old photos.
totally, and not selfies. I want like a good picture. And that's why when I was in the midst of it, you know, Emily told a story of a family that contacted her. She used to be a wedding photographer, and a family that contacted her. There was a woman that passed away, and they had no pictures of her. She had no
Yeah.
pictures.
That
And
breaks my heart. Like
and
that
Emmy
actually makes me
Lee
want to
had taken
cry.
a picture of her at the wedding, and they said, could we have that picture? Because we have nothing for
Yeah.
her celebration of life. We have no picture. And it was a beautiful picture. And Emmy Lee said, I was so overwhelmed. I was so sad. And she said, of course you can have that picture. And I think, yeah, like we, we're beautiful beings. Like the cracks in my face, and I'm going to talk about this. I actually even talked about this with Emily. Okay, if you look at my neck, these two parts here, I'm my mother there. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's my dad. I'm not 100% sure, but I have these things, and he had a beard, so you couldn't see them. Well, they've always been like an issue as I've gotten older. They're the first thing that I look at. Well, my granddaughter, Nora, loves to run her fingers through my waddle.
You know what's funny? I
And
used to do that to grandma.
yeah, and
I
she
used to do that to grandma.
and I've never said to her, I like at first I'm like, Nora, why are you doing that? And she goes, I love it, Grandma. It's so soft. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, go ahead. And I'm like, you
Enjoy
know what?
yourself.
Enjoy yourself in my waddle. Because I don't want her to feel bad. She's doing something that she loves.
But
She loves to
if
touch
you
my
think
skin.
about it, like, and this is what I think is so important, and I'm gonna try to
Articulate.
go, yeah, like what's in my heart and head right now is, it's like we have all these hangups about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and we do a disservice to our loved ones by not commemorating or taking photographs of ourselves, or just truly like embracing and loving ourselves. Because if you think about Nora looking up at you, and the way that she's looking at that part of you or interacting with that part of you is full of such love, like the adoration and just um the loving view, her little eyes looking up at you, and she loves you so much, that it's almost doing like a major disservice to those people, because those are good memories. Those are things that they're going to store in their bodies and in their hearts about what they loved about you,
Totally.
and
And
it's
my
hard to
sister
think of it that way.
Maggie just said, like, she used to, and I know Maggie does not like getting her picture taken, and
Hmm.
she is beautiful. Like, my sister is absolutely beautiful. And yes,
Stunning.
Kelly, you're
Callie, yes.
so beautiful. I love your face. I love your face. There's so much beauty in
Well,
your
and
face.
you think about it this way, like, so in my family, a lot of times, and I say, like Jay and I say this to each other a lot, and my kids say it, is I love your face. I love your face. And I think like, and again, I'm gonna get all like sciencey, but it's like we imprint and like even smells I'm I'm very I get very I have emotions attached to, and again, this might sound weird to some people, but like to people I love. So, you
It's
know,
not weird.
and their faces and even the things about them that they might, you know, be insecure about are things that people genuinely love about you. And I think that that's so important to recognize, but it's hard. It's hard for
Oh,
every single one of us because we all have our insecurities and things that we don't enjoy so much visually.
and you
Um,
know what's interesting is I look, and I remember people used to tell me I look like my mother when I was a young girl. Yes, Margaret, you are beautiful, even with your eyes closed. Callie takes lots of pictures. My sister is beautiful, and it's like, yeah, she doesn't like any of her pictures, but it's, and anyway, you're beautiful, Maggie, and I love your face.
I love
But
your.
um, people used to tell me I look like my mother, and when I was like a teenager, and I'm like, do you really want to look like your mom when you're a teenager? And I used to get really angry about that because I'm like, I don't look like my mom. And now I can look at pictures and go, I do look like my mom. I sound like
Mhm.
my mom. Oh my gosh, I am my mom. But I love being able to see the history and the genetic, like how I came to be, and how beautiful I always thought she was. Like, I mean, as a teenager, I didn't want to look like her, but I always thought she was beautiful. And as an older woman, my sister told me a story of like we were at Callie and Steve's wedding, and she looked in the mirror and she was doing something, and she just thought she was so ugly. And it's like, no, I I honestly love the cracks in people's faces. I love the look of an older woman who is owning it, and not shying away from it. And I mean, we're talking about older women, but I feel like you as a young woman, Callie, Leah, you women embrace who you are, because you know what, you are beautiful, and the history of your life is on your face, the war wounds and the victories, the battle scars, all of that.
It's all over your body. Yeah, it's your
So, and
body.
it's so beautiful, and I don't want people to wait till they're 60, 70, 80 years old to go, you know what, yeah, this isn't bad. Of course we're going to look and think, oh my gosh, when I was 20 I had the most beautiful skin, why didn't I appreciate it? Well, you know what, you're 60 now and you didn't appreciate it. Appreciate where you are right now.
Yeah,
Quit
yeah,
looking back, like let's be right where we are. um,
yeah. Well, and
that's
I
my two
think too,
cents.
like the last thing that I'm gonna say, because I know we're going a bit
Yeah.
long, but I think this is just such an important topic. Is I think, I guess, you know, I'm just gonna be really honest here in my own experience. A lot of the reasons lately I don't enjoy or have any plans to or want to take photos is because, you know, as our bodies change, as we, you know, get older and we go through different phases of life and different things happen and our bodies are not, you know, necessarily the way they were like the last time we took family photos or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I have in totally 100% honest, haven't wanted to do a family photo shoot because I don't want there to be like a visual representation of how much my body has changed since the last photos we took, right? Because it's a big change, and I think it's really tough for us to, because we're always told we're supposed to bounce back or look a
Yeah.
certain way or look like how we've always looked, and just not
Comparison.
allowing our bodies to change or not accepting that, you know, that's where we are now and that's what we look like now, and it's okay to for our bodies to change, and generally they do.
Oh,
For some
totally.
people who are, you know, some people don't change, they stay in the exact same body shape, size their whole lives, and that's just wonderful. But for
Well,
I
bless
think
you.
yeah, I think for a lot of us, that's not always the case. And it can be very, it can be a big struggle to take those photos or to want
Yeah.
to do that. I know it is for me.
It totally was associated to this. I was like, if I would have, if I would have done this, or I could have lost a few more pounds, whatever. It's like, no, you know what? And it was like the smack in the side of my head telling myself to F off and go, you know what? You're right here right now because, why? There's a lot of things that got you here. You're healthy and I'm here. I am cherishing the moment that I'm fast approaching 60, but I'm still here. It's hard
Yeah.
trying to accept the 40. But you know what? That pooch is like, come on.
She
You
said
can make that
paunch.
paunch. Well, I like to call it a pooch.
There are many names. There are
Anyway,
many names for it.
I just feel like, again, being almost 60-year-old woman, I'm not quite 60, but almost 60-year-old woman, you waste a lot of time hating yourself for the way you look. And you know what? You're taking your eyes off of your life. Pooch, punch, yeah. Taking your eyes off of your life, the people around you, the loved ones. You're missing out on moments. And Raina, here's what I'm going to say to you. Don't miss out on that photo shoot, because when is Brody going to be 5 again? He's almost like he's growing up every day. Mason is 9. Like, your children are growing up. Your husband. Like, these are moments that you really do want to celebrate. And whether or not your body's different or the same, it's never going to be actually the same. It doesn't matter at 20 if you are exactly the same weight at 60, your body's going to be different. Things are going to have dropped. And
Gravity.
yeah, and unless, I know Seth is 14. So it's like, take those moments. I'm so sad thinking about the many days I wasted missing out on things. And you know what? I want to say to you, Sue, you have to leave that where it is and cherish where you are now, because you can do better when you know better. And that's
so
all we want to do is like talk about like just appreciating who you are, and don't let life pass you by because you're disappointed in your body.
Yeah.
Because
well, I think it's just honoring and accepting those
yeah,
those feelings because they're valid. Like it's
totally
fine to feel sadness and grief over the
yes,
fact that you did miss out on some things,
yeah,
or maybe you didn't
recognize
do
it.
some things that you really wanted to do, because I think we all have that. I know I
Oh,
definitely do.
I do too, but that's what I'm saying. You can't
Yeah, and then
fix
it's just
it.
like accepting that and being like, okay, I didn't know this truth right at those moments, but
Yeah,
that's something I know now, and I
you
can
can do
be in
better.
the progress or the process of doing better in the future for myself, like allowing myself to just do
100%.
what I want. Yeah.
100%. And that to me is like, Sue, I just want you to be able to go, okay, like that was then. And yeah, exactly it. You gotta own that grief. You gotta own those losses and work through them. And you know what? I know that because I'm a grief recovery
She is.
specialist, and it's like working through loss. And, there's losses include like your your body, like your the loss of like what you thought. How am I here? Like, how did I end up here? Or your body is your health. There's so many things. So it's really important to live, like to actually accept that feeling, feel it, and then go, okay, you know what? I know better now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to live in the moment. And that's really this photo shoot. I was trying to live in the moment. Did I have a lot of like everything that I've ever done before that all came up, all those things that I know and feel and
Yeah.
that are normal to me, that I'm like,
you had to like drag yourself
yeah, and then
into being in the moment. Yeah.
And honestly, it was like I will go back to the experience itself was worth it. I don't know what the photos are going to look like, and am I going to like all of them? Probably not. Am I going to pick apart stuff? I pray that I can just look at them and appreciate the woman that's in those pictures. But I mean, I'm human. I probably will.
Well, and I think like like you keep saying, the experience is what we want. The experience is the thing that we're all wanting to get out of doing something, is that memory, that feeling, what happens